17 years, 11 months, 5 days. That's how long it's been since Me at the Zoo was uploaded, becoming YouTube's very first video. YouTube as a platform is very nearly an adult now, and in this time it's become home to potentially 1 billion videos, or maybe even more. Most of these videos will go relatively unseen, unremembered by the masses and uncared for by its viewers. But, of course, a small handful will be watched and spoken about, for better or for worse. Some of these videos will be life-changing, and some of them will be such a mistake that even their creators will go back on them, erasing them from existence and trying to make it seem like they never happened at all. In this video, we're working backwards in time to talk about some of YouTube's most infamous deleted content. Content that was either deleted by the creators or by YouTube itself, including the very earliest deleted video that was uploaded mere minutes after Me at the Zoo. So without further ado, let's talk about some of the most infamous and fascinating deleted videos of all time. And we're going to start off with one that's quite recent and also one of the most famous ever, that being Alan Walker's no copyright sound songs. You guys must know Alan Walker, right? He's been described as a DJ/producer phenom, creating wildly popular trap, house and electronic music. He has more than 24 million monthly listens on Spotify, he has the most subscribed YouTube channel in Norway, and he's taken in over 12 billion views on YouTube throughout all of his videos. One of the largest sources of these views might have come from his work with no copyright sounds, one of the biggest channels in the world with more than 33 million subscribers. His songs on No Copyright Sounds raked in literally hundreds of millions of views, but Alan Walker was really the golden child of the channel because compared to any other musician they ever featured, Alan Walker was consistently getting the highest amounts of views. He released 3 songs on the channel, those being Force, Spectre and of course, Faded. These songs were wildly popular, with Force apparently taking in over 100 million views, then Spectre garnering somewhere in the 200 to 300 million views range, and last but of course not least, Fade being the most popular video on the No Copyright Sounds channel because before its erasure it had 444 million views. But of course, by watching this video, you know that these songs are no longer on YouTube. I mean, they are. If you look up Faded, you can now see that the music video is sitting at 3.4 billion views. But in November 2021, 6 years after first collaborating with each other, Alan Walker's contract having his songs up on NCS was expired, and the two parties couldn't come together to forge a new one. When the two first got together, NCS was still in its infancy, and Alan Walker was nowhere near as large as he is today. It seemed like quite the ideal match, and without NCS, who's to say that Faded, Spectre or Force would have become quite as successful? And it worked the other way around too, because let me remind you that these songs were huge for NCS. You can still see re-uploads on YouTube that are trying to mimic the style and branding of NCS, and let me remind you again that these songs are not gone from YouTube entirely, just the original versions on No Copyright Sounds. These are all now deleted. But that's a small story compared to our next one, because our next channel had all of their past videos deleted. I'm talking about SuperJojo, and unless you're a parent, you probably haven't heard of them before. This channel had more than 20 million subscribers, was one of the top 25 animation channels on the platform, and would have been getting a fair amount of money from YouTube. But in September 2021, they would be terminated from the platform, with all of their videos being lost to the void. And in the process, they became one of, if not the largest channel to have ever been forcefully deleted. And let me tell you right now, the reason why is extremely fascinating. So let's discuss the sequence of events that led to the termination of SuperJojo. I've actually spoken about YouTube Kids content before in the past, quite recently actually, but this story must have slipped through the cracks. To set the scene, I think that CoComelon needs very little introduction. They're the largest kids channel on YouTube, they have 156 million subscribers, they might negatively impact your child's development, the science is still out on that. But it's fair to say that even though they just repackage old nursery rhymes for their content, at the very least, outside of the songs which are public domain anyway, their work is original. But we're going to play a little game right now. I'm going to show you a CoComelon baby and a SuperJojo baby, and you have to tell me which one is which. Yeah, eerily similar, aren't they? And you probably know now where I'm going with this. The reason why SuperJojo was terminated was that they had been allegedly infringing on CoComelon's copyrights. CoComelon took the Boo Boo song as an example, as though when you're listening to this song, you can tell that each version is different. CoComelon's is much slower compared to SuperJojo's, and the two have fairly different lyrics, but just by looking at the animation, one is clearly modelled after the other. They have the same shots, the same zooms, the exact same scenarios, there's no question about it. The whole situation caused CoComelon to pursue legal action, where they claimed that sometimes SuperJojo would copy them frame for frame, and if you took the Boo Boo song for an example, it's hard to say that they were wrong. The document that described this was more than 20 pages in length, and one of the arguments was that SuperJojo found this copying to be extremely lucrative. Baby Bus Network, the Chinese company that owns SuperJojo, had reported revenues of over $100 million the year prior to the deletion of SuperJojo's videos, and this all culminated in SuperJojo having its channel terminated by YouTube due to multiple third-party claims of copyright infringement. You might be surprised to hear, however, that SuperJojo is now back on YouTube on a channel that was created on the 24th of March 2021. Perhaps they knew that they were soon to be deleted and so planned ahead. This new channel has almost 3 million subscribers and has generated roughly 80 million views so far. One of the key differences this time around though is that it has human hosts, or at the very least it did at a point in time. They stopped uploading for about a year before coming back a few weeks ago, and their content seems to once again be reverted back to purely animated stuff. So time will only tell if this time they stay out of trouble. So heading back to perhaps a different era of YouTube now, the year is 2019, and Machinima, one of the largest channels on the site, has mysteriously had its entire back catalogue disappear. If you're my age, you've definitely heard of them, but if you're a bit younger, you might not have, so let me give you a quick rundown on who they are. Machinima were a gaming network created by Hugh Hancock in the year 2000. If you've been on the platform for a while, you would know that back in the early days, it was very difficult to monetize your videos, especially if you were a gaming channel. Back then, only 15 years ago, copyright laws when it came to games were a lot different to how they are now, and people were hit with strikes and sometimes even had their channels taken down for merely playing a video game. If you were an old school gaming YouTuber before the year 2012, you would essentially have to join a network because the YouTube Partner program just wasn't around at the time. There wasn't any apparatus to monetize your content. And that's where Machinima came in, as they had the tools to prevent gaming companies from trying to take your content down, as well as the tools to monetize your vids. On top of this, it was instantly one of the largest channels on the site, and so it made sense for creators to sign their 3-year deal and hop on there because your content could now be potentially seen by a way larger audience than you'd have on your own channel. Just sign the contract, give away 40% of your ad revenue, and live the dream. Yeah, did I mention that you can only keep 60% of the revenue that your content made? Machinima was an MCN, and if you've heard of the term, you know that they tend to be bad news. This was something that Pyrocynical, PewDiePie, Ross Boomsocks, as well as countless others would find out the hard way. And I don't want to drag this story on too long because it was evident that Machinima was eventually going to fail. Once monetization became more widespread on YouTube, it was only a matter of time. Once gamers could take control of their revenue, Machinima had an appointment booked with the Reaper. And day by day in the mid-2010s, creators' contracts would expire and Machinima would lose a little more money, and a little more, and a little more, and by January 2019, it was too much. Machinima at that point had uploaded more than 26,000 videos, but had them all erased and laid off 81 employees. These days, if you go to Machinima's channel, you'll see that they're still one of the most subscribed in the world. They still have 11.6 million subs, but no content. The only thing left up on their channel is a playlist titled Minecraft The Noob Adventures, and so in January 2019, that was where Machinima left us. Going back even further now, I'm about to bring up a name that you probably haven't thought about in roughly 8 years, and that name is Nicole Arbour. If you don't know who this woman is, consider yourself lucky. But if you do know her, surely you'll know about her viral rant video, Dear Fat People. What you might not know, however, is that if you head onto her channel today, you'll notice that this video is no longer there. So what was it? Why was it so controversial? And why is it now deleted? It was September 2015 when this video was uploaded to YouTube, and though you can see re-uploads of it today, you'll notice that there are a ton of responses online from fat and skinny people alike. It's also got a lot of responses from online news articles such as The Guardian, The Times, and The Daily Mail. If you've never seen the video, it's a 6-minute sequence of jokes which seem to be much more of a roasting session or a rant. She's unashamedly blunt. She was honest with her opinions, and so to some, she was finally the person who had the guts to say what others were thinking about fat people, and to others, she seemed cruel and hurtful. Just in case you haven't seen it or you've forgotten what this video was about, I'm going to play a few clips now so you can get a little flavour for what kind of things were being said.
Are you gonna tell the doctor that they're being mean and fat shaming you when they say you have fucking heart disease? Big boned isn't a thing. Fat shaming. Who came up with that? That's fucking brilliant. Yes, shame people who have bad habits until they fucking stop. Fat shaming. I don't feel bad for you because you are taking your body for granted.
So yeah, personally, I always found Nicole Arbour to be quite unfunny. She seemed to me a bit like Sweet D from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But even having said that, the reception in the comment section of the re-upload that I found was a lot more positive than I remember it being a couple of years back. Just taking a look at the comments, if we take the jokes aside and just look at the message she was sending, some people seem to think that she had no leg to stand on, perhaps she had always been skinny and never had to deal with weight problems. Some people are saying that what she said was invalid, or that some of her points such as encouraging fat shaming is dangerous. Again, this is a roast or a rant, she is being sincere in this video. Others, however, have taken a different approach to it, and I've actually seen a fair amount of comments that have claimed that years down the road, it was this video that had an impact on them, helping them get their weight back on track. These people claim that their friends and family had a difficult time communicating this to them, and so it was this video that was a sobering reality to help their weight loss. And I thought to myself for a while why there was such a more positive reaction to the re-upload compared to the original 8 years prior. Perhaps in the time since the original video dropped, there have been societal changes where people are now more willing to be blunt with obese people, but more likely in my opinion is that people are seeking out this video now, and you wouldn't likely seek out a video that you hated, but you would for one that you agreed with. And that leaves us with the million-dollar question, which is, why was Dear Fat People deleted? And the answer is, I don't know. My assumption would be that this video was deemed as bullying and was removed by YouTube itself, because in the years since this video dropped, YouTube have become a bit more slap happy in removing this kind of content. To the best of my knowledge, Nicole Arbour has never come out to explain what happened to it, but it is a bit strange. After the success of Dear Fat People, Arbour made a bit of a series out of it, creating videos such as Dear Black People, Dear Feminists, Dear Parents, and Dear Refugees. Yeah, that last one sounds a bit dicey, but these videos are all still up on Arbour's channel. Arbour herself seems quite similar in attitude to how she was back then, so I don't think that she took it down because she's changed her opinions dramatically. No videos or articles were made about the deletion because I assume by the time it was removed, the video was just an afterthought in people's minds. I think this is the first video covering it. But if you want a timestamp on when the video was removed, I looked at the re-uploader's channel on Social Blade, and the Dear Fat People is by far his most popular. So I would guess that at some point in mid-June of 2022, either Arbour deleted her video or it was removed by YouTube, because there's a clear rise in views at this point. But as you'll come to discover throughout the rest of this video, there have been so many classic videos such as this that changed the landscape of YouTube for better or for worse, whose original versions have now been deleted forever. I suppose that's just the way it is. Once again, we're heading back to an earlier era of YouTube now. This next video is more than a decade old, so there'll be a good chunk of you guys, myself included, that prior to this would have never heard of this next video before. And though it didn't leave as much of a mark on the internet like a lot of the other ones we're speaking about today, it did cause just as much outrage at the time. This was Rick Perry's Strong advertisement. The year was 2011, and Barack Obama was in the early stages of his re-election campaign, and a number of Republicans sought to be on the ticket to try and take him down. Yeah, leave it to the British guy to try and explain this election. This election in particular seemed a bit more bitter than the one previous. I mean, don't get me wrong, this was nothing compared to the past 2 elections, but there were some people like Rick Perry who thought that the past 4 years under Obama had been a travesty. Perry, for those of you who don't know, is a now 73-year-old Republican politician who served as the governor of Texas for 15 years between 2000 and 2015. He was also the Secretary of Energy from 2017 to 2019, but back in 2012 as well as later in 2016, he would run for president in 2 campaigns that ended in swift defeat. When making this video, he was still in the running for the 2012 election, but his words here were some of the most honest and open, yet controversial I have ever seen.
But you don't need to be in the pew every Sunday to know that there's something wrong in this country when gays can serve openly in the military, but our kids can't openly celebrate Christmas or pray in school.
Yeah, those were the kinds of things that he was saying. You're either very for it or very against it. I doubt there was much of a middle ground here. Throughout the message, Perry vows to end Obama's war on religion, he criticizes homosexuals in the military, and he says that he wants to make America strong again. What Perry said seemed to strike a chord with YouTube because although today you can't see the original video, you can see endless amounts of people reacting to it and responding to his message. And it's generally safe to say that most people on YouTube were heavily against what he had to say, and the thing is, this is one of those videos that immediately became out of date because once Rick Perry failed to secure the Republican nomination, it was just irrelevant, it didn't matter anymore, even less so after the election ended. So this is a video that's since become forgotten about, a dusty relic that I've dug up, but one whose original existence has been vanquished. Because, as I said, you can't see the original video anymore. It got a lot of heat, so perhaps Perry just wanted to delete it after he was eliminated from the race. This is a mystery to me just as much as it is to you, but my guess is that YouTube was once again responsible here. The only semblance of the original video that I can find is a 2015 entry to the Wayback Machine. Back then, the video had 9 million views and 28,000 likes compared to 810,000 dislikes. For this next story, we're once again taking things back even further to talk about one of the earliest viral videos on YouTube. One that I'm sure a lot of you guys know, but you might not know that the original video as well as the channel that it was uploaded on are now gone forever. Again, if you've ever heard of this video before, you probably haven't thought about it in about a decade, but there's a surprising amount to this, at least compared to other early viral videos. This video was uploaded in 2007 on a channel called Chris Crocker. This channel was owned by Cara Cunningham, who has since come out as transgender. In this, she's passionately defending Britney Spears' comeback performance at the MTV Music Video Awards, and to say that this video was an instant hit would be an understatement. At a point in time, this was in the top 100 most viewed videos on the site prior to being deleted, taking in over 205 million views on YouTube as well as 50 million on MySpace. Cunningham would go on the Maury Povich show as of a result of her popularity and had her time in the limelight. By 2015, however, Cunningham would upload a video to Facebook explaining that the Britney video was in the past and that toxic comments had gotten too much to handle. And so, with 434,000 subscribers and almost 300 million views, the channel as well as all of its videos were scrubbed from the site. The Leave Britney Alone video was later sold as an NFT in April 2021 for $44,000, a sentence that's horribly dated not even 2 years later. And so it joins David at the Dentist, which sold for $11,000, as well as Nyan Cat, which sold for $600,000, and Charlie Bit My Finger, which was bought for more than $750,000. And therefore, even if Cunningham's channel was not deleted in 2015, I think there'd be very little chance that this video would still be around. Of course, it's hard for these viral videos to ever be erased entirely off the internet, but at least the original versions are now all gone. These YouTube artifacts, whether you know it or not, some of them are becoming buried deep under the surface. And this takes us to the earliest days of the site. We've gone from modern YouTube to the edgy days of the mid-2010s, to the early 2010s where the site was really starting to take shape, to the classic viral videos of the late 2000s, and now we're going back, as far back as you can go, to the very first video ever uploaded. Obviously, this was me at the zoo, uploaded by Javed Karim back in 2005. But if you've ever looked at Javed's channel called Jord, you might notice that he only has one video up there. Have you ever thought to yourself if this is the only video that he ever uploaded? And if so, why would he create a website that he doesn't use? The truth is that he did use it. It's actually thought that Jord would create more than 100 videos between April 2005 and January 2010. Of these, about 15 to 20 have been recovered and re-uploaded on YouTube. And though I'm not going to show you all of them in this video, I am going to give you a quick little rundown of what I found, what this means, and I'll also link a playlist in the description that has all of the found videos on it. Firstly, there are a lot of plane videos here, like it seems as though that Jord was a real fan of them, a real aviation aficionado. He also uploaded a lot of weird films and PSAs from the 1940s and 50s, like Anti-Communism Movie and How to Date, but the thing that I found most interesting, and I'm about to drop a bombshell on you, Me at the Zoo is kind of a fraud. Okay, before you hate me, allow me to explain. Firstly, although it will definitely go down in history, Me at the Zoo was not Jord's most popular video early on. In June 2005, his video Under the Bridge was his first to hit 10,000 views. In December 2005, his video Computer-Generated Animation of Water was his first to hit 100,000 views. Then in June 2007, his video Extremely Short Runway 747 Takeoff was his first to hit 1 million views. And believe it or not, it was only in March 2011 that Me at the Zoo became his most viewed video. By then, he only had 5 videos left on his channel, one by one deleting all of his others. By mid-2012, Me at the Zoo was his last video left. Another bombshell I'm about to drop on you is that though Me at the Zoo was definitely the first video ever uploaded on YouTube, what about the second? Well, there's a very real possibility that this was also a Jord video, this one titled Rolling Down a Hill, which was supposedly uploaded on the same day. It's hard to say for certain because this was almost 20 years ago and it has since been deleted. But firstly, this could have a claim to be the second oldest video ever on YouTube, and additionally, if this was in fact uploaded on the same day, if Jord just wanted to upload 2 videos, who's to say that in another universe, in another life, this was our Me at the Zoo? Did Jord just randomly upload these videos one at a time, or do you think that he had a thought process behind things? Because Me at the Zoo is obviously of much higher prestige. Rolling Down a Hill does the exact same thing as Me at the Zoo. It's a perfect example of where YouTube came from. And though I will always love Me at the Zoo, let's never forget about its aborted brother who is taken off this earth far too soon. So that's it from me. If you enjoyed this, why not check out my video on terminated YouTube channels? If you loved this, I'm sure you'll love that one too. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and apart from that, thank you for watching and I'll see you later.